Hey guys, welcome to or back to my channel. So for today's video, I'm making a book recommendation video, which I've been thinking about making for the longest time because I've been reading so much recently. Can I put this all in screen? Hold up. There's also more books. These are just the ones that I have physical copies of. There's more that I just read like online. This is just a recap of the books that I've read in the past bit. All of these are in 2020. It's literally insane. I feel like so many gifted kids were very into reading when they were in elementary school. Like my brother definitely was, like all of my friends were, and I was just never like that. When I read a book I would enjoy it, but I was never like really wanting to read. That just wasn't my vibe. I was definitely like an outdoorsy kid. I would say maybe beginning of 2020 I started being like, okay, like let me read a book, and I would read like, you know, one every month, every 2 months. It was not a lot at all. I feel like I would say around 6th or 7th grade was when kids stopped reading a lot because they started like binging TV shows and, you know, social media and stuff like that. They definitely like declined off the book radar. I started like reading more in October, but that is simply because I read the Harry Potter series through two times in October and once in December. I'm such a Harry Potter nerd. I have my Draco Malfoy wand staring right at me right there. So I read it so many times, but in the past 2 months I have just read such a big amount of books for me, and every time I've read a book it's taken me anywhere between 1 and 3 days to read it. I was reading a lot. Actually, let me show you like my book list. My goal was to read 3/4 of my book page space by the end of the year, and if you can't already tell, I've already done a third, which is, it's been 2 months. It's been 2 months and 11 days. What? I've just been reading like crazy recently, and I'm so happy about it. The very first one, Normal People by Sally Rooney. This is another book that has been going around a lot lately. I believe it came out in 2018. Ever since it came out, people have been loving it, but like especially in the past year, I believe it's been pushed out a lot, and there's a series on Hulu about it. It's pretty much about these two kids in Western Ireland, Connell and Marianne, and it's them from the last year of high school, so last year of secondary school, all the way through college in Ireland. And they go to the same high school, they go to the same college, all of the above, uni, and it's a love story between them. I just find it interesting because the entire book is about them having like horrible communication skills with each other. Literally in the beginning, Marianne is a super loner at their high school, and like Connell is like a popular kid, like everybody loves him, he's on the soccer team, everybody loves this kid. You know when like people are like loners in books or movies or TV or whatever, but they usually have like 1 or 2 friends. She genuinely did not have a single friend before Connell, and that was not until 12th year. Isn't that crazy? It goes through them being friends and in a relationship and like awkward stages, and like when one of them is dating somebody, and the entire time they're communicating so badly. And if you've read this book, you definitely understand my absolute anger at the ending, because it fixed nothing. And because of that ending, I would give it a 7.5 out of 10. Otherwise I would have given it a 9. Honestly, it's a great book. The ending just does not do the right thing. And there's another book, Conversations with Friends, also by Sally Rooney, which I want to read, but I think I'm going to read that over the summer with my friend together. So yeah, definitely stay tuned for more of these book recommendation videos if you want to see that and more books, because there's another book that's coming out this summer that I need to read that is a part of one of these series. Next, I don't have this book with me because I did an audiobook, okay? Don't come at me. And it is Carry On by Rainbow Rowell, and also Wayward Son by Rainbow Rowell. It is 2 out of 3 books from a trilogy. Third book hasn't come out yet. It's coming out this summer, and I'm so excited for them to come out, like you have no idea. It is a fantasy. It is also magic, which like, if there's like a common thread between these, is that there is a lot of love in them, because that's just my vibe of book. So it is these 2 guys, Simon and Baz, and they hate each other. They hate each other's guts. No, Simon hates Baz. Baz has been in love with Simon ever since he was 12 years old. And they're 18 now. And it is just about them, like, fighting this thing called the insidious humdrum. The name is literally so awful. Like, I hate the names of the things in this book, but the book itself is so good. The names of the things are so bad. Like, so bad. It's like magic, so they're called magicians instead of wizards, which, like, what the frick, but like, go on. They end up like falling in love, which is totes cute in the first book, but like, that's not the main part of the book. Like, the main part of them is like them fighting the insidious humdrum, and also like the fact that like nobody knows that they're gay. So like, and then the second book is them in America, and they're together with their best friend, and they're trying to save one of their other best friends. Them figuring out the difference between like American magic and like their magic, because their whole thing in their magic world is like you get magic from these things called speakers, which are just like regular non-magic humans who like say words. So like, let's say, what is something that like people say all the time? I have no idea. I don't know. Like, what's a common phrase? What is a common phrase? Have a Kit Kat, it breaks a rock, pretty much. Like, they're the dumbest shit. Like, it is the dumbest shit. Like, it's just random sayings that are like said a lot. So like, there was so many things like spells in England that they used that like when they came to America, they were like, why isn't my magic working? And then they're like, because literally nobody in America says these things. Like, nobody in America says proper, nobody in America says, I don't know what, but like, there was just so many things that like you cannot say in America. So like, they fricked up a lot. Oh my god, when they were in America, this is one of my favorite ones. So, Star Wars reference here. These aren't the droids you're looking for, and it pretty much like makes them exactly like what Obi-Wan did to the stormtroopers. So they cast that on some people, and they were just like turned around and like didn't notice anything. The spells are very language based, so pretty much they can't do spells in non-populated areas, which is why they got into so much trouble, because when they were traveling through like the Midwest and like Kansas and like areas like this, there were so many quiet spots, is what they call them, where there's not enough like words being spoken for them to have any magic. So it's a really good book series. I definitely recommend it if you like fantasy. I give them a solid 9 out of 10. We have Circe, Greek mythology. Love me some Greek mythology. I've never read Percy Jackson. Do not hate on me. I want to read that soon. By Madeline Miller. It is a book of a witch. So pretty much Circe is the daughter of a nymph and a god, and her family, like, they all are like so annoyed at her, don't like her, and see her as dumb and ugly and like all of this stuff. She gets cast away to an island by herself because it turns out that she's a witch, so are her siblings. She turns another nymph, Scylla, into a beast. That's what I really like about Madeline Miller's stories, is she goes a lot more in depth into these parts of Greek mythology that you didn't really think too much about. It's not like Zeus and Poseidon, it's like Circe and Scylla and Achilles and Patroclus. Like, it's people that you wouldn't necessarily like first reach out to. And I think it's really interesting because it's things about like sexual assault and stuff like that, just like iffy subjects in the Greek mythology world, because there's a lot of that stuff happening back then. There still is, but like back then there was so much of that stuff happening, and it's like her being a witch and like falling in love with Odysseus and Glaucus and like all these different people, and like just her loving her son, showing her power. It's a really cool book. I would give it a 8 out of 10. It was a very fun read. And another book by Madeline Miller, which is also Greek mythology, The Song of Achilles. Oh my god, if you are an avid reader, you've definitely heard of The Song of Achilles. This book is so good. This book is so good. So it's about Achilles. We all know Achilles. The Achilles heel died because shot up in the heel because when his mom Thetis dipped him in the river Styx to give him protection, she held him by his ankles, dipped him in so that part was not in the river and thus was not protected. It's told by very commonly thought of as his companion or his best friend, but in this book and in a lot of other ties of Greek mythology, his lover Patroclus, it's from his point of view. So they met when they were 11 years old, and I believe by my count they died at 38. Freaking, it's not a spoiler that they died, okay? Like the Battle of Troy, okay? Like they died, we all know it. I'm not spoiling anything. It's them like as they grew up. So pretty much Patroclus was exiled because he did something and his dad was like, bro, that's annoying. So he exiled him and he wound up at Achilles' father's kingdom because Achilles' dad like took in a bunch of exiled princes and stuff, and they become best friends, and then it's just like flows from there. Then they like leave and study with Chiron, which is a centaur, which I believe we've all heard of as well. And it's like them growing up through that, and then they go to the Battle of Troy, and like a bunch of other stuff happens, and it's like such a cute book, and it brings you so much tears, like so much tears. And it continues even after Patroclus is dead from his point of view, and it's so adorable. My friend was like, you're gonna cry so much during this, and I was like, okay, I believe it. And then I didn't for the first literally like probably more than 80% of the book, and then you hit this spot and you just cry. And you cry for days afterwards. You cry for days afterwards. Like this book, I finished it I think a week and a half, maybe 2 weeks ago, and for the next 4 or 5 days I was crying non-stop thinking about this book. And then I think either yesterday or the day before, it hit me again a little bit too. I like thought about it, and it's such a good book. You need to read this. It is so beautiful. I give this a solid 12 out of 10. This is the best book that I've ever read. Yep. I'm gonna say it. I'm like getting sad thinking about it, so I need to like rush through these. I feel like I'm talking way too much. The Dangerous Art of Blending In by Angelo Sermelis. Another amazing book. These two are my new comfort books. These are so amazing. Once again, a love story. 17-year-old Evan Panos doesn't know where he fits in. His strict immigrant Greek mother refuses to see him as anything but a disappointment. His quiet, workaholic father is a stout believer in avoiding any kind of conflict, and his best friend, Henry, has somehow become distractingly attractive over the summer. Tired, isolated, scared, Evan finds that his only escape is to draw in an abandoned monastery that feels as lonely as he is. And yes, he kissed one guy over the summer, but it's Henry who's now proving to be irresistible. Henry who suddenly seems interested in being more than friends, and it's Henry who makes him believe that he deserves more than his mother's harsh words and terrifying abuse. But as things with Henry heat up and his mother's abuse escalates, Evan has to decide how to find out his voice in a world where he has survived so long by being silent. This is a powerful, revelatory coming-of-age novel about a boy who learns to step into his life. This book is so good. It's exactly what it said. He's like, oh my god, my best friend is like so hot. And the entire time his best friend is hitting on him, right? But his best friend has always had girlfriends beforehand. So he's like, bro, you're straight. Like, what's happening? And Evan has always known that, well, has he always known? I don't know. He's never said anything other than, like, he's known that he's gay for, I don't know, a while. His mom is super Greek, Christian, all the vibes, and physically and mentally abuses him. Yeah, for literally nothing. For literally nothing. Like, she tries to kill him. And she says it. Like, I'm not even overacting. She tries to kill this man. Every day. And it's just like him finding out how to like love himself, his best friend who's like turning into more than his best friend now, while still trying to protect himself from his mom. He's never talked about it before with anybody, and then he has these like notebooks where he writes stuff. Like one day he gives his journal to like Henry, and it's like 6 years worth of stuff, and it's literally crazy. And frick yeah, like this book is insane. This book is insane. It had me crying for 50, I'm not kidding, I'm not even kidding. I cried from the 30 to 80 point mark the entire time. I don't really like the ending of this book, I have to say, but it's fine. It is so sad. It is so sad. Please be in the right mental headspace to read this book when reading it, because It is insanely sad, and I give it a 10 out of 10, an 11 out of 10. This is always gonna hit the spot. Like, my heart is getting fuzzy right now thinking about these two books. If you have any book recommendations, please leave them down below. I have like a whole list, but I don't think that it's gonna last me very long at all by the amount of books that I'm going through at the moment. And let me speed on because my camera is about to die, and also I don't have a lot of storage left. Let's do the last bit. Hunger Games. This may seem crazy, but I watched Hunger Games for the first time this summer because when I was younger, my parents were like, no, you're too young to watch it. And then after that, I always like knew about it and was like, yeah, sure, like I'll watch it, but like I was never like really tempted to watch it. And then I watched it and I loved it. I was like, oh my god, Katniss, Peeta, Finnick, Joanna, Haymitch, Effie, Cinna. I finished this 2 days ago, so like my brain is like so raw on it. These books are incredible. Here's the thing, Harry Potter has been like my life, my entire life, but these books are written so well. The way that they're written, whenever a chapter ends, I feel like that's the worst spot to end the chapter in, because it's on, like, the way that she wrote it is amazing. Like, the fact that she ended the chapter there, like, amazing. But I'm just saying it's the worst spot in the sense that you literally have to keep reading. Like, this is such a binge type book. You literally can't put it down at all. Like, the cliffhangers that they leave you on every single time, and they say this and they say that. And the thing is, I watched the movies, I knew everything that was happening, and yet for some reason that made me so much more enticed to like continue reading, and it was like drawing me in so much more because I was like, oh my god, that's gonna happen soon. But even though I watched the movies already and I knew everything that was gonna happen, like they didn't really change any big parts in the movies, I was like still surprised and shocked and like felt all the emotions every single time. It is so good. It's a dystopian novel. What they think is gonna happen in America hundreds of years later, and like pretty much the entire world has broken down because they don't say it's because of like climate change, but they say that it's because of the way that we treat the planet. So I take that in hands of climate change, which is like, yes, thank you. But like, it is such a good book. The reason why it's called the Hunger Games is because one of the districts, so they have 12 districts, one of the districts, the 13th district, battled the capital 74 years ago for the first book, and was like, yo, like, we're gonna fight you down. And so they like said that they demolished that district because like they fought against them, you know. They have the Hunger Games now every single year to remind everybody to not interfere with the capital, that like you're gonna die, and like to remind them all that like the capital is strong and like we can do what we want, and we're gonna kill your children every single year. We're gonna kill 23 out of 24 kids every single year, and you're just gonna have to sit there and mandatory watch them every single year of your life. Also, if you're a victor, your children are still gonna be in the drawing board for future Hunger Games. Like, what? And then the things that you find out in like Mockingjay, which is the final one, about other things that happen like to the victors, it's crazy. It's just, it draws you in so much. And of course there's romance. We all know like Katniss, Peeta, and Gale. We all know the entire time I was reading it, I was like, I will personally execute Gale. I genuinely hate him so much. The movies too, but like I genuinely hate him so much. Peeta just seems like the most amazing guy, and like this series is so good. I'm genuinely so sad that I finished it. My dad was like actually worried about me when I was reading it because I would not stop reading it. He was like, Anya, you need to just like take the books, put them aside, and give yourself a day. And I was like, no, like I have to keep reading it. I've never been that like entrapped and entranced in a book before. Like, it's absolutely crazy. Like, these books are so good. I give these 1,000 out of 10. Okay, the first one 1,000 out of 10. The second one 1,000 out of 10. The third one, I'll give her a 9 out of 10 because they don't have any Hunger Games in them, in the sense they don't have like the actual games happening in them, which is a big part of why I love the books, is like the excitement of the games is so much fun, which kind of sounds messed up, but like it's from Katniss's point of view, so like her thoughts while, you know, okay, I'm not saying I like the games and I would enjoy watching the games. That is not what I'm saying. I'm saying that I find that interesting, and then there's also like more PETA Katniss stuff happening when there's the games because Gale's not there. Yeah. I don't know how it took me so long to read these. Like, they're so good. I need to read Percy Jackson so soon, and please, please, please leave book recommendations down below because I am such a big book junkie now, and I will be having these probably every season, so like every 3 months, because I'm just like binging books so much. Recently, the last time that I watched a movie, I could not tell you. I do not consume content apart from books. Books are my babies. These things are my childs. There is nothing I love more than a book right now. Like, the next book that I want to read is Emma, and I'm going to try to read it on my iPad so that I get more used to reading books on like my iPad or my phone or my laptop or whatever, instead of having to buy paper copies. Time, waste, accessibility. I can just library them because, you know, Corona right now, I can't just go to the library and pick up a book. Actually, the last movie that I watched was Emma because of Anya Taylor-Joy. So yes, thank you guys so much for watching this video. This was literally so fun to make. I'm probably gonna have over an hour of footage, but it was worth it because talking about my babies, it makes me so happy. Okay, so I'm good with it. Thank you guys so much for watching. I will see you guys next week. Bye.